A lot of unsung heroes, Bo. You can start wherever you want, and we will flow and make sure they all get the proper attribution.
I think we got to start. We've mentioned him briefly a couple of times. I think we got to start, guys, with Jerome Ford on offense. We had all, across the board, said, you know what? They gave it a shot with Jerome Ford.
Yep.
He's just not good enough. All the numbers pointed to he's not good enough. Efficiency is terrible. He was like the worst in the league. His yards per carry was pretty bad outside of the 2 big runs. And this game was there. Now, listen, can he follow it up? We'll see. But at least for one day, he was not just good, he was outstanding. And this wasn't about, he broke a 70-yard run. He was consistently getting 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, 10 yards. He was phenomenal in this game.
That's what you want your feature back to be, is running through contact, running hard, hitting the hole with aggression, not going down on the first hit. I'm not as impressed with one 69-yard run that skews all the numbers.
That's right.
As opposed to a day like yesterday.
Much more impressive.
When you're just grinding and grinding and grinding. Now
against elite defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Now he's got to do it again and again and again. That's what the trademark of a feature back in the NFL is, being able to do it every week. But boy, was he impressive yesterday. And yeah, he hadn't shown that. In all of his starts this year, he hadn't really demonstrated an ability to be that guy to consistently carry the ball, to move the chains, to run the clock. And yesterday, full credit to Jerome for by far his best day as a pro.
It looks like he's starting to trust his eyes. You know, a lot of times as running backs, you know, they give you an arc or a path to run. It's up to you to figure out where you move and maneuver off of that. A lot of times they've been having him go on an outside arc path and when running stretch plays and different things like that, outside runs. And he's been staying front side instead of getting downhill. I thought he did a much better job of that. Now he's starting to develop his vision a little bit more, where he realizes that, hey, listen, when you got an aggressive defense like Baltimore, they're going to be sideline to sideline downhill. But the thing that you can use to your advantage is now over pursuit. Now the cutback is available. Now you can start to set up your blocks a little better. I thought Jerome Ford, he played really well last game. And then, in tandem, I really thought that the run game was solidified inside. I thought the 2 guards and the center did a really good job of just being that run game was a la a Nick Chubb type game in 2020. And I believe that's when they were their best at being bullies.
Yeah.
I thought they were bullies. I thought they were more physical. And the fact that people talked about Baltimore being the best defense when these guys go against the Cleveland Browns every week, I think they had a little something to say about that. Like, come on now, we play against the Browns. We play Myles Garrett and Tomlinson and these boys every week. Y'all giving the Ravens the best defense? Nah, let's go ahead and show them what we got. And I thought those 4 people, like the guards, Teller, Pochich, and Jerome Ford with Batonio, I thought they did a great job.
Guys, the Ravens defense in the first 9 weeks of the year had only allowed 3 teams, forget one player, had only allowed 3 teams to rush for more than 93 yards, all right, in their first 9 games. And the most yards they gave up as a team was 139 to the Colts back in week 3. The Browns, Jerome Ford had, what he finished with, 101, I think?
107.
107.
107. And the Browns as a team finished with 178, which was the most the Ravens have given up all year. Their defense has been great. Browns' defense has been great. Ravens' defense has been great. And the Browns, when they needed it most, they needed to be balanced. We talked about this early in the show with Stefanski. They were balanced. I think they finished with 1 more running play than pass play.
I'll confirm that for you in one second.
I know. I'm pretty sure it was one way or the other. They were basically 50-50, and they
50-50. 1 more run play, 36 rush attempts, 35 pass attempts.
Right. Again, kudos to Stefanski, because for the last few weeks, you and I, we were all saying we were crediting him for sticking with the run, even though it wasn't really working that well, right? They were sticking with it. They were grinding. They were only averaging 3, 4, maybe 4 yards a carry, maybe less. But they stuck with it. He never really gave up on the run, and it paid off in this game. It paid off. They ran block. I thought this was the best the Browns had run block in a while.
Very long time.
Across the board. And I'd be curious to see have the PFF grades come out?
No, we're going to do it tomorrow. But
Yeah.
James Hudson, who filled in at right tackle for DeJuan Jones, He's not the pass blocker DeWand is.
No.
And probably will never reach even where DeWand is now. But he's a more physical run blocker. And I tracked it myself, but I'll wait to confirm to the numbers. Almost all their big runs came behind James Hudson.
Yeah, they were running to the right
to
a
the
lot.
right side a ton. And I don't know if that has more to do with Jaron Christian, I don't even know how to pronounce his first name.
Jaron.
That's how impressive. Jaron Christian. Yeah. I'm not sure what his run block status is. Batonio's obviously really good, but behind Teller and James Hudson, they had the majority of their success on the ground behind.
Is there any way we could put DeWan Jones on the field for pass plays and James Hudson for run plays?
They might know it's coming then.
Yeah, I'd say
but
so.
But, as you talk about unsung heroes, I just thought the guards in general, when you're playing with your fourth and fifth what are we down to?
Fourth and fifth, you're right.
Fourth and fifth, correct.
Yeah.
When you're putting so much pressure on the guards at that point. And, we've talked about it before. When you're paying your guards $17 million, that's really a luxury that a lot of teams can't afford to do. And I don't know how long they can get away with this as long as they're paying, when the quarterback is eating up as much cap space. It's hard to pay your guards $17 million. But, boy, yesterday they show you why that they get the money that they do. I thought that was why it's best game in years. And without seeing the film of every single play, obviously he had a lot of pop plays. The big block on the turnaround on the pass block when he just leveled the guy.
Yeah.
The falling on the fumble, I can't stress
huge.
enough how important that was. And, I was talking to him after the game, and he said he saw it sort of happening. I think Christian lost his man. I think the pressure came from Christian's side.
Correct.
And Wyatt turned around and saw this coming and knew the ball was coming out and just dove on it, scooped it up. Said he remembered back when he was a kid, defensive lineman, put your pinkies together and scoop that ball up.
A lot of times the offensive linemen, even if they fall on it initially, will lose it. Right?
Yeah.
All the time.
But
so that was big. Yeah.
Huge fumble recovery. Game's over. If he doesn't recover
yeah.
that, game's over right there, and we're not talking about this at all.
Oh, my God.
So for the guards to have as much pressure on them as they did because you're playing with such inexperienced tackles, and there were issues. There was holding calls. There was, I think, some false starts. They did give up some pressures. What did you expect? It's the fourth and fifth tackles. Of course that stuff's going to happen. And, we may be saying something. I mean, James Hudson, if DeWan's not back, it's Hudson against T.J. Watt next week. And, say your prayers because we've seen that 2 years in a row and we know how that goes. But I'll tell you about James Hudson. Dude plays with passion. Like, he wants it. And he's an emotional player. You saw him out there with the fist pumps and with everything else. Like, he struggles at times, but my goodness, does he put everything he's got into it.
It's not due to lack of effort.
It is not a lack of effort.
Yeah.
And he was right there on the huddle push.
Yeah.
Yep.
All around the plays. And now, again, you got to work cut out for him next week if DeWan's not back. And we can talk about that later. But really a nice job by this offensive line holding up under duress with the fourth and fifth string tackles. Kevin calling the right plays. We talked about they were going 7 offensive linemen at times. They were going really, really heavy, extra tight ends, extra linemen, trying to help on the edges when they could. And by God, it worked.
You just mentioned something, and I didn't think of it till just now when we was having this discussion. I got a theory. I believe that part of it is draft capital, but I really believe that Kevin Stefanski sat down and said, okay, let's pare this down a little bit. I got DPJ, right? I got David Njoku. I think DPJ is expendable because of the increased role with David Njoku. Njoku's a better blocker. He wants to get him out there on those mismatches, better run after the catch, and he can utilize him in more different areas. He made him expendable because now if you look at it, essentially, you've pared it down to say, okay, read number 1, we're going to Amari Cooper, and we don't care if he doubled. Amari Cooper still consistently puts up numbers.
Yeah.
And then 2, we're going to start to look for David Njoku. We're going to have him, utilizing him as our number 2 receiver kind of guy. And, hey, they got the draft pick for him, but really you're now starting to see David Njoku be a part of the play every single play.
Yeah.
They're not switching 4 receivers.
No.
They're going to go with the tight. And here's the thing. He's just more comfortable calling plays for tight ends. It is what it is.
He's clearly their second option
Yes.
in the passing game. There's no doubt about it. And he had a big drop in the first half.
Yep.
Right, man? He had a big drop. He showed you he started turning around before he caught the ball. Should have been a first down.
Yep.
They didn't do much in the first half. That was a play he let his quarterback down. And in the past, drops have been a big problem for David Njoku. Mm-hmm. Overall this year, he's been way better. And if you look at his play, I think the last month, not just the stats, if you just look at the catches, and it's not gaudy. It's nice. It's solid. It's not gaudy. But I believe in the last month, he's played his best football as a Cleveland Brown, as an all-around player. All the guys he's dragged down the field, the blocking, he's put it all together. He's never going to be Travis Kelce. Nobody is, right? He's not George Kittle. He's not DJ Hawkinson. But after the top few guys, he's right there with everybody else. He's playing like that.
He ain't Laporta. The kid for the Lions.
Yeah, he's really good.
And it's not even the last month, by the way. It's since the facial injury. It actually started in that Baltimore game the first time around when he was the only guy on offense who really did anything.
So, all right, a little more than a month.
Since the injury.
But I don't know. I feel like in the last 4 or 5 games, it's just all come together for him.
4 or 5 games with the bye. That's exactly what.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
he's playing really well. Yeah, he's playing really well. We got to give Elijah Moore some love. He finally had a decent game.
He scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Caught a nice little comeback route. I thought that was one of the better throws that Deshaun Watson has made so far.
Yeah.
He stood in the pocket. I believe it was because they got a chance to get them up out of here. It was looking bad. It was 14-0. I thought they came back down. He threw him a comeback route, and it was about 16 yards. I thought it was really nice.
And he also made a nice block on. I can't remember the play now.
Moore had the block?
What was that?
I don't remember Elijah Moore block.
He had a good
Cedric
block.
Tillman had the big block, which we're going to get to in 1 second.
No, I know that. That could have. I was worried they were going to get him for a penalty.
He can't do that. And I'm sure that's going to be pointed out to him.
And then he's flexing over the guy. We can't have that. We don't need that.
That'll be brought up in the film session.
Yeah.
That's a rookie mistake. You can't stand. He easily could have been flagged for taunting on that.
Yeah. They got lucky he didn't get called for a penalty for a blindside hit.
Yeah.
It was borderline, and they got lucky he didn't call for a penalty for the flexing. I don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah, you can't. That crack
what are you doing there?
Yeah, you can't do that. You cannot do that.
Yeah, I mean.
I kind of loved it. I know it's a rookie mistake, but.
Oh, it's a big hit.
That's awesome.
It's a big hit from
it's a big hit that they took out the game.
Yeah.
But
it's easy to make a big hit when the guy doesn't see you coming.
But just don't stand over him and do that, and you're fine.
If you're going to do that, guys got to start doing this. You can go to my clinic. You got to start standing there like you're taking a charge. If you're going to make a crackback block, all you do is just this. Give up your body. Take the charge. I didn't hit him. All you got to do is just get in the way. But he's going to get called for that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, too.
He didn't catch any passes either.
No.
I don't think he came through to him.
I don't know what he was doing.
He had 3 targets, 0 catches.
The pass interference.
Yeah.
He did draw
That's
pass
right. That was the
interference,
biggest play on the pass interference. In that, at the end, they threw to him.
I thought on the play we just showed where Deshaun Watson hits Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
Did anybody else think they're gonna renew? We're gonna review.
He was right on the line of scrimmage. G. He was right on, but Deshaun, to his credit,
I didn't think of it at the time.
we'll show you the dots. If they actually give me the dots for this play, and you can
remember
see the dots.
For you to be called past the line of scrimmage, your entire body has to be. Even if the ball is past the line of scrimmage, it doesn't matter.
Watching it live, Zach and I wondered too if he was over the line, but on replay, I didn't think it was close.
Oh, it's definitely pretty close.
Where's the line? The blue?
Yeah.
The blue.
Yeah, if he held the ball for another quarter of a second, he would have been passed.
Hence the definition of close.
Yep.
And by the way, Stefanski loves his flood plays. But, hey, man, listen, I like –
it was a good throw.
It was a good throw. I thought he did. And Deshaun did a lot of that in Houston. If you go back and watch his highlights, extending those plays like that. And remember, guess what? If this was I would say if this was last year, the last 6 games, no Browns receiver would have done that. Their scramble drills was like they were programmed like, the ball's not out.
Even last week, guys, he looked terrible throwing on the run last week against Arizona. Yeah. Whereas in the second half yesterday, he made a good throw on the run. Remember last week, he only threw it well when he was stable in the pocket. This week, he showed more mobility. And that run, again, we haven't talked about much. All right, is that it for we've talked about everybody in the offense. We got some.
I have real quick. This is just in from Ian Rappaport.
Yes.
And nothing big, but just want to update. We mentioned Deshaun. He walked out in the walking boot. According to Ian Rappaport, he is scheduled to have tests on his ankle today. So we weren't exactly sure what part of the foot was being looked at. From Ian Rappaport to Deshaun Watson.
Standard. It's standard, Mike.
No.
Don't be a negative Nelly.
No. I'm just saying, we weren't sure if it was the foot, the toe, the ankle.
Right. No,
it's the ankle.
It's
I'm just giving you guys a heads up. It's the ankle.
Juan Thornhill get an MRI today on his calf. Deshaun, they'll image his ankle, and I think there was someone else that went down with injury yesterday too. I don't remember.
And this
Denzel, what's his?
Denzel was neck.
His head, neck.
And that was a dirty play too.
It did look dirty. It did.
The guy led with his helmet.
Yeah.
On, like, well, why would
that was not necessary. I'm sure the Browns will turn that into the league.
Yep.
And have that looked at.
Now, here's the best thing about the ankle injury, and I'll say this. When you have multiple injuries, when you're battling, like I had a calf injury that I had, but I had already torn my ACL in my left knee. And sometimes when you get an injury, we don't want anybody to get hurt.
Yeah.
What it does, it makes you play off instinct. It makes you don't think a lot. And I think Deshaun Watson.
Helps you focus?
Deshaun Watson had something else to focus on other than a shoulder. So he's out there. You can't worry about both of them. And I think he got into a rhythm a little bit because it's like, okay, I got to worry about this ankle. And sometimes you play on adrenaline and you just play on instinct. And I thought he played much more instinctual because he had plays like that where he's able to get out of the pocket and throw the ball and do things like that. Just because he's playing and he knows he's not at 100%.
Before we get to the defensive unsung heroes, let me tell you that this is the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and you are the ultimate Cleveland sports fans. We have shattered records today. Most people online before the show started. Over 5,000 people watching at one time. The total amount of views is going to be record-breaking, too. We were hoping to get a record-breaking 2,000 likes on this show, the thumbs up. We've already beaten that with 30 minutes to go in the show. Help us get to 3,000. Hit that like button. We love you. You love us. This is great. Nothing but content for 2 hours. Forget 2 hours. If you're a member, and you can become one, you get an extra 10, 15 minutes when the show is over. Nobody else is doing what we can, so be with us. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Let's freaking go. Mike, you got nothing right now. Let's get to the
defense. You're right. Defensive unsung heroes.
You can be an advertiser right where Bull stopped.
Yeah.
Call Mike McNuggets now.
Who have we not hit on the defense that's an unsung hero? JOK, we mentioned briefly. I mean, what a season this guy is having. We were ready. DeQuell Jackson, the best linebacker in modern Browns history, said this guy can't play.
He fixed him.
We all thought he was right.
He fixed him so tough they had to put DeQuell on the payroll. And say,
they had to fix JOK.
No, don't even call Ultimate Cleveland Sports no more. You just gonna work with JOK behind the scenes, and that's how good he's been.
And he's having a tremendous season. Can you guys believe we had a lot of high hopes for him when he first came in. Not bad as a rookie. But by last year, it was a mess. And this year, he's been so much better.
Is that right? He has 12 tackles for loss?
That is correct. Yes.
How many did he have last year, Mike?
All of last year.
He missed the part of the season.
Hold on. 12 tackles for loss in the NFL is stupid. That's ridiculous. He's a linebacker.
For a guy who weighs 200
pounds. He's not a rush end or anything.
No.
That is
seems like a lot.
That's a lot. That's like 2 tackles for loss a game almost.
And he's playing with you see these guys playing with so much energy and enthusiasm. It's hard not to get excited watching them play.
In his career, real quick, I just have your number.
Yeah.
So he has 12 this season in 9 games. In his career, he had 10 before the season.
Wow. How many games?
A bunch.
25. 25 games.
He was averaging 40. It was 40% of games played, and this year it's over 100%.
Correct.
That's crazy.
That's a huge difference. Go ahead, Jason.
No, I was going to say I think a lot of it has to do with scheme. Obviously, we talked about that before, and there were so many injuries to the linebackers last year. Probably doing things that he was being asked to do, things that he's not really comfortable doing. He's in the perfect role right now. Yeah. The defense creates a chaos up front. The front four creates chaos, and he just comes in and cleans it up. And it's a perfect role for him. He's undersized. He's always going to be undersized, but he's fast, a sound tackler, and he's having a terrific year. I
think his tackling has improved too.
Yeah.
He popped Lamar yesterday, and Lamar never gets popped. Lamar never gets hit hard. He is maybe
really
as good as any quarterback ever at taking hits, but kind of having him glance off as opposed to getting squared up. And JOK squared him up on a read option where he knew the play was coming. Even Vilma, maybe the only good thing Vilma said all day yesterday was he had seen that play on film. He read it before the play even developed. And he laid the hit on Lamar. Lamar got up, and I don't know if you guys remember. Maybe we can find the play, maybe we can't. He looked around like, who the hell just hit me? And it was JOK standing there. Yeah. And that was maybe his most impressive play of the day.
And if you notice McNuggets in those plays, they run read option towards Myles Garrett's side because he's so aggressive. Myles Garrett in his get-off is so aggressive. Like, he pretty much takes the running back out of the option play to start with. So what they did this game was like, okay, no. When Myles Garrett, if they run that to his side, Myles Garrett is going to take away the running back. Forget that. We're going to have JOK scream right off his backside, and we're going to meet. And Lamar Jackson pulled it, and JOK was just in his face. He was just sitting there. Now, the thing about Lamar Jackson is he's so doggone good that he kind of evaded the tackle. He hit him hard.
Yeah.
And Myles Garrett kind of cleaned it up with another guy. But I thought that was a nice little wrinkle that they threw in there to kind of stop the running quarterback type stuff. And Schwartz did a really good job of bringing pressure from different angles. I liked it.
I do have one big-time criticism for the coach. The coach of the Ravens, what a stupid decision by Harbaugh to only give Keaton Mitchell the ball 3 times. Wow. He had that amazing touchdown run. He only had 2 other carries.
And he had the screen pass that went for like 40.
Right.
He was asked about that after the game, about why he sort of vanished in the second half.
Because Gus Edwards was doing nothing.
Yeah, that guy. I haven't seen enough of the Ravens this year to know how much of a factor he's been, but he can fly.
I mean, he ran up out of dope in Emerson's angle.
Yeah.
And you know who else?
He was hurt earlier in the season, so
he's only played 2 games. Last week versus Seattle was the first carry he got all season.
And I'm gonna give you this too. That's Zay Flowers' kid. He's
a good player too.
He's shifty.
Yeah, the Ravens got a lot of talent.
He is shifty.
And the Browns found a way.
Yeah, he's shifty.
Odell didn't do anything. He made, obviously had that one big play, and that was I think it was his only catch.
Mark Andrews didn't do much.
He
had
had
a couple
huge game.
And he kills the Browns. Every year, Mark Andrews kills the Browns.
This was just, if you look through the lens, and maybe we need to stop doing this, but if you look through the lens of the modern Browns history, and you go back and let's say we went into a time machine to 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and I went into that time machine and I found 2012 G. Bush and 2012 Jason Lloyd and 2012 Anthony. He was probably in middle school then or something. I don't know. 2012 Mike, 2012 Steve. He's wasting his time at another TV station. I'm kidding. We went back in time to 2012, and I said to you, hey, guys, the Browns are going to play the Baltimore Ravens a decade from now, right? And their quarterback had not been great coming into the game, and they're down to their 4th and 5th tackle, and they're playing against a team that's the best. And described all the adversity the Browns had faced. The Ravens have the most talent. They have this great quarterback, blah, blah, blah. And, you just never could have pictured the Browns winning this game through the landscape of the Browns versus Ravens. And yet they did, and had to overcome within the game adversity so many times. From the pick 6 early, to the fumbled punt, to the missed extra point. There was so many times where this team could have crapped the bed, and they every time fought back and fought back.
And that's all fans have wanted. That's all fans have wanted for the most part. The fans aren't asking for you to beat 2 games for the Steelers or the Ravens and Bengals every year.
Yeah.
You're asking, guys, for you to be in contention every year. For you to be able to look up at the end of the season and say you can't take the Browns lightly. And I noticed, I think that the Browns arrived. You know how? Because I saw Sal Palantonio interviewing Myles Garrett after the game. And I said, when is the last time you've seen Sal Powell even say Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, that's right.
And he said the likely defensive player of the year before he introduced him. And I said, well, damn it. We done messed around and made it.
Yeah, the Browns are I'm sure getting a lot of national pub. I don't watch a lot of national shows these days, but I bet they are. Mike, you put up that tweet a few times and we haven't talked about it. Put it back up again because I want to talk about it now. This is a crazy, wacky stat that Jay Trotter put up, courtesy of ESPN Stats. Browns trailed for 59 minutes and 20 seconds. No NFL team this millennium has won while trailing for that long in a game. Wow. It's really crazy.
That's a baseball-esque stat.
Yeah.
From the second play of the game until the last kick of the game.
Yeah.
And it started. There was a lot of – there are so many points where it was done. It was done.
Right.
The game was over. The first – even the interception, if you watch Deshaun Watson go back to the sideline, he's like, what the – come on. Are you serious? what's the chances of that happening? He's probably thinking that, dang, it happened to PJ in Seattle, it happened to me, but who would have known that we would get one of those things, but we take it back to the house? Like, the tips are crazy.
Guys, I said earlier this season that once you're a good team, it doesn't matter who you're playing. Like, in the last 2 years on the show, before the season, we've played the schedule game. Like, who do you want to play week 1? And Jay in particular, because he's been scarred more than everybody else, because he's the oldest person here. He sat through the most.
By far the oldest, by far the grayest, by far the least
he's
athletic.
Always panicky about who the Browns play. Like, he's always worried. When you're good, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And for the rest of the season, no matter how it turns out, whether the Browns fall apart, which I doubt, whether they're decent, whether they're great, you don't care who you're playing. You're going to go, the Browns and players are more confident than fans, certainly. But Browns fans, you got to go into every game the rest of this year, no matter how many there are, thinking you definitely can win this game. And it's not like, oh, we got to, anybody can beat anybody. You legitimately, the Browns, again, they've beaten the Bengals, the Niners, the Ravens. Who can't they beat? They're not playing the rest of the season. They only play the Bengals. Is the only really good team they're playing. Obviously, Pittsburgh's decent. Jacksonville's decent. Houston's pretty good. Decent teams, pretty good teams. But that's it. Yeah, I mean, the Browns could go 6-2. They go 7-1 the rest of the year. I mean, there's no limit. I had a friend of mine who's not a Browns fan. Good friend of mine, big football fan. He doesn't even really have his favorite team. I think is the Giants, but he doesn't. He's more like a gambler, and he's into all the minutia of this stuff, and he's a really smart football fan. And he's like, well, my projections. I'm like, oh, you got projections now? He's like, I'm projecting the Browns to finish 13-4. I'm like, really?
I mean,
they finished 13-4. That'd be the number 1 seed, maybe.
We've talked about it at various turns this year, but they could easily be 9-1. Now I know they could easily have two extra losses, but I mean, easily 9-1.
Easy money.
Yeah.
So and I guess by winning yesterday, this 2-game stretch, we talked about it last week, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, just split them. Going into before the Baltimore game, if you just split them, you're right in the thick of the playoff.
Right. Well, you're not thinking that way anymore.
But it still applies, and I think that's important to keep in mind. Is that if you lose both of them, you're screwed. You're in serious trouble in trying to make the playoffs. Yeah. If you win them both, you're in control of you control your own destiny.
Right.
But just come out of these 2 weeks with a split, and you're looking really good. Well, they got the hard part out of the way.
Yeah, that's
going and winning at Baltimore. Right. I wasn't on the show Friday. I had to go to the Guardians.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked them to win. If I had hit a headline, I would have picked Baltimore. I saw Jay picked Baltimore to win.
Yeah.
The other 3 of us picked,
Yeah, I would have picked Baltimore to win. I didn't think Cleveland was going to win that game.
Yeah.
So to win that game and now to have Pittsburgh coming back at home, you're in control of everything. Regardless of what happens in Cincy-Baltimore, obviously you want Cincinnati to win that game if you're a Browns fan. But ultimately...
No, the Browns are in control. They're certainly in control of their playoff destiny.
You're in
They're
control.
Not quite in control of their division destiny yet. But if they win out, not win out. I mean,
But they control their own destiny in terms of how this is going to go.
They are still the 6th seed at the moment, but they got a lot of room to move
But that's
up.
all you can ask for. If you're in November and you're playing for first place.
Right. Think about, if you beat Pittsburgh this week, now you're going to be like, oh, well, they should kill Denver after that.
Right.
And they might not, but that's how you're going to be thinking.
Right.
Go ahead.
Did you guys notice? This is crazy. I didn't even know it. Do you know Jerome Ford is almost he's 6 yards away from being the number 8th running back in rushing
For a season?
and this year?
Oh, really?
He has 532 yards, and he just crazy. Joe Mixon only has 536.
Yeah. No, Joe Mixon's not having a
but
great
they
year.
Saquon Barkley 568. Kenneth Walker has 595.
So that kind of cancels out because some of these teams may not have had their bye. Maybe they did.
Yeah.
But also he missed the first game and a half because Nick was
Well, he
the
didn't
starter.
miss it. He was playing a little bit, but
he didn't really get the
main
ball
carries,
No.
which is crazy. And they had their bye. To put it in perspective, Christian McCaffrey only has 747 yards. The second guy, Derrick Henry, has 625. But if you look at what he's doing, when they have their buys, he could.
let's not get carried. He had a nice game, but we don't want to get carried
I'm
away.
just saying. We was talking about sending him down.
Yeah, well,
But-
let's face it, he hadn't played that well.
He hadn't run
Rushing
that
He
well.
down
hadn't
across
run that
the
well,
league,
and you look at
We're not gonna pretend he played well in those other games. He didn't really play
Right,
well.
no, he didn't.
Yeah,
But he played great yesterday.
And he's had 2 big games and rushing across no one in the league is averaging more than 84 rushing yards per game. Like, no, there's not a single running back in the league.
Yeah, running numbers are down.
It's all down.
Yeah.
Real quick, we got a ton of super chats we got to read, but we have not shown this yet. And to me, I think back to last year's game at Baltimore and how that game ended, and it was a little bit controversial. And I remember Jason came in the next day and said there was you could hear the Browns locker room kind of arguing with each other after the game.
Yeah.
Fast forward a year, and this was the scene in the locker room yesterday. And I think this can have any pre-connotation that it's the same team. This is Amari Cooper, who you don't see smile, you don't see do anything
Shows
but
very
catch
little
footballs,
emotion at all.
hand the football to the ref, pick up first downs. And we could have picked any number of these. They almost all went live on Instagram. Kareem Hunt was doing the same thing. The joy, emotion, and just to see. I mean, I've been in basketball locker rooms after big wins. You've been in football ones. You can't manufacture that.
No.
You can't fake it. It's all truly genuine. And to see them kind of celebrating in
Yeah.
that fashion after a win like that,
Yeah.
I do think it kind of starts like a
Mike
a new
once
chapter.
again comparing Division III basketball to the NFL.
I'm comparing locker rooms to locker